little bit more volume. So we should be all set.
Okay. The Board of Directors for Central Oregon Community College have reconvened into open session. And next we'll open a budget hearing for our 2022-23 budget. And so I'll look to come on up and Knudsen and Kathleen. And do we have any public comment?
Nothing that I.
Or any testimony? Okay.
Yeah.
So next we need to consider a resolution of adoption of the 2022-23 budget. And that's exhibit 8A1. Does anybody have any questions about moving forward with adopting the budget and reading the proposed resolution?
No concerns.
Okay, do I have someone, and I'd like people to read the whole thing just because this is the important parts of our job. So we have a proposed resolution that would adopt our budget.
I can do it.
Okay,
Be it resolved that Central Oregon Community College Board of Directors do hereby adopt the budget for fiscal year 2022-23 in the aggregate amount of, I'm gonna do this, $106,856,726 total of all funds approved by the Budget Committee on May 11th, 2022.
I'll second it.
it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, say aye if you support it or raise your hand. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? We've unanimously passed the budget. Next, we'll go on to appropriations resolution for 22-23. That's on your packet as 8.1. Basically, talks about our. Tell me what it is.
Yeah, pretty sure. Yeah, so the appropriation resolution is a breakdown of all funds and expenditure categories. So these were presented in the April and May board meetings. And so this is just a summary of the appropriations that need to be approved.
Great. So, and I'll ask you to do that for the next one too, Catherine. So there is a resolution in our packet to pass the all the other funds. Do I have a proposed reading of the resolution of the
So I think so. Be it resolved that the Central Oregon Community College Board of Directors do hereby make appropriations in the amounts, expenditure categories, and funds as detailed above in Section 8, totaling $106,856,726.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? We've unanimously passed the appropriations for fiscal year 22-23. Next, we'll go on to impose and categorize taxes for 22-23. That's 8C1 in our packet. So do I have someone to move this resolution? Bruce? Oh, sorry.
Just gonna buy a cookie.
I can take it.
Okay,
Be it resolved that the Central Oregon Community College Board of Directors do hereby impose and categorize taxes provided in the 2022-23 adopted budget at the rate of 0.6204 per $1,000 of excess value for operations, and in the amount of $2,779,059 for voter approved general obligation bond debt service for the fiscal year 2022-23. These taxes are imposed and categorized upon the assessed value of all taxable property within the district. I'll second.
it's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Great, we've unanimously passed the categorized tax and imposed our the amount we want to have on our property tax. So with that, is that it for the budget hearing? Great. Okay, so we'll close the budget hearing. We'll look for changes to the agenda. Is there any changes to the agenda, Lori? Nope. Okay, next we'll go on to the consent agenda made up of interfund borrowing, custodian, funds and depository of the institution, and budget officer, clerk, and deputy clerk, who we are appointing. So is there anything anybody wants to bring up and have on discussion? Seeing nothing, do I have a motion to approve consent agenda?
I'll move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Good, we've supported the consent agenda. Boy, we're just flying through this.
That's a hefty consent agenda. Good one.
Yes, it is. I didn't even mention it all. So we're to informational items. Anybody have any questions on the financial statement? On the renewal of admin contracts? On new hire reports?
I have a quick question. Some of the rehires, there were asterisks next to the names. I'm just curious what the asterisks represent.
I was to Oliver, and at the very end of it all, it talked about, and someone say it for sure the right way, it has to do with.
Laura, do you want to? Laura Bowman?
Oh, never mind. I see it. I guess I just didn't look to the very, very end.
You got it?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no questions, then let's move on to foundation major gifts and planned giving. And listen to Misty Bowers
Yes, thank you, Alan.
and Sam.
Yeah, I'm just going to introduce Misty really quick. Thank you for the time. Misty is the charitable giving officer for the COCC Foundation. And I always think back to the board meeting that occurred in Madras, no, it was Redmond, when we were proposing this position be hired. And Joe said to me, at the time, the position was titled Major Gifts Officer. And Joe said, why are we hiring a Major Gifts Officer? Isn't that your job? Which was a great question because it is. But with the growing reach and activities of the foundation, we knew back in 2016, 17 that we needed additional help. We were fortunate enough to then create the position with the board to support and to hire Misty Bowes into that role. It's since gone through a little bit of a change and is the charitable giving officer occupied by the same person here. And I regret to inform you, Misty is going back to where she once came, which is to Portland Community College. Going back to Portland after 6 years of incredible service here at the foundation. So I'm using this moment as a send off. I can't tell you how much she has done for our students through philanthropy and through our plan giving program and just donor outreach. It's going to be tough to fill. So, but we always wanted to bring to you an update that she prepared for the COCC Foundation Board 2 weeks ago, which is an update on our plan giving program at the foundation, which ultimately benefits programs and scholarships at college. I'll let Misty take it from here.
Thank you, Zach. Very generous of you. I just want to say that I think that hiring for this position here in Central Oregon, it's just such ripe ground for serious gifts. And this is my favorite topic, so I'm just so honored to be here and that you all want to hear about it, because I just love talking about plan giving. It's not exactly everybody's dinner topic or anything, but I want to talk, let me get a slide up, because that will kind of help here. Scott told me it would be so easy. There's great. There it is. Okay. So what is plan giving? My favorite topic. Besides that, plan giving is any significant charitable gift that's during your lifetime or once a person deceases through a planned will or trust, or certain gifts that are outside of a will or trust like your IRA account, where you could make the college a beneficiary, or an insurance policy. So there's a whole like rainbow of possibilities that could be your most generous gift of a lifetime or during your life. So the next one, what is a bequest? Anyone in the room know what a bequest is? Gifts given?
Will?
Yeah, through a will or trust, exactly. So it's your generous goodbye gift or your legacy, depending on how you want to define that. So how does the advancement model here that we now have that up and it's been roaring and doing great work, how does that relate to this role at the college? Well, I want to say when you tell a compelling story about students, the programs, the college, people out there are either hearing it on the radio, maybe even it's an ad, or they're seeing it on ink or on digital media, and they're like very tapped in, tuned in, and turned on by stories about the college. And during pandemic, you just have to add that to the mix and think, people are thinking, you know, you never know when your number might come up, better get things in place. And so our phones have been ringing quite a bit, and we get call-in or inquiries through our website that come right to the plan giving. And it's just really phenomenal and inspiring how many people absolutely love this college. And they really want to talk about, what could I do? And that's the question they have. And sometimes they have their attorney call me or Zach, or sometimes it's they're working with their attorney and they're calling us first or after a visit. So that's what we want to do is really, why do we do this? Why do we have plan giving conversations? Well, it behooves the college because number one, we have a fiduciary responsibility to use all gifts wisely and according to the donor's original intent. And if you don't know your people, you can't know what they intended. And so it's a great opportunity with our Heritage Society to try to get to know people and plan out their endowments before they even seed them with any gifts. So we have gift agreements that spell out, this gift is restricted to, and then it could be nursing, it could be any program or general scholarship or greatest need of the college or foundation. You get that whole wide array. Okay, next.
Can I ask a question? I'm a grant writer, so I'm very familiar with restricted and unrestricted. I'm curious whether there has been a change, let's say over the last 10 years. Are donors more aware of the value of unrestricted giving, or has it been about the same?
I want to say that
Unrestricted is like what you want, because literally you can do whatever you, and you can direct it to the most needy, but I'm curious whether, is there a change in sort of donor mentality towards that?
it starts with like the heart of the donor's individual wishes. And we've had some declarations that are, and it really comes down to legacy. So if you're thinking of legacy, often that means I want to name something. I want to leave a mark. I want to make a difference in my community. And so we have one who wants to leave it in her mother's name. She started an emergency fund because her mother was there for her when she went through rough times of college. So that's kind of unique. And most people often want to name it after themselves, as a couple say. But unrestricted gifts, they do come, but that is the most generous and no strings attached gift. And I would say the rarest.
Okay.
They
Yeah.
come more in, terms of scholarship annual giving,
Yeah.
but on
exactly.
planned gifts.
Yeah, I was gonna say in annual giving, there has been a little pivot that way, and that's the way we do our year-end appeal. Those dollars go, those are unrestricted dollars. They're restricted to scholarship, but unrestricted from there, right? So you can like think of the first restriction as use it for whatever. Foundation operations, expansion, new positions, and then the second we have is restricted to scholarships, but any program, any discipline, any student. And so the funnel kind of gets narrow from there. And in the plan giving world, though, I'd say no, Bruce.
So the Heritage Society is meant to build up like a fraternal sorority type feeling where donors can know one another. If pandemic hadn't been in place, we would have been having our annual events. One year we were at the culinary school cooking up bouillabaisse and having a great time, and everyone, it was like a reunion for people in this community. They hadn't seen each other for a while, and it was really a fun event. And they get insider information that allows them to be engaged with the college, ask questions, get access to our president, things that make them feel like I really understand the mission. I know where they're at today, what their goals are. And so once they stay on board and in line, you want to have that happen because I think in a lifetime, an average person 3 to 5 times rewrites their will or trust. So you don't want to be written out and you want to stay really informing your constituents because you want to make sure they may want to add a different fund to their legacy or a today gift, annual support, or tomorrow gifts, which are endowed gifts. So my next slide. Supposed to advance. There we go.
Okay, it had gone for you.
Oh, it just takes a
There we go,
minute.
perfect.
Okay, so now this is the part that has to do with what kind of gifts are people giving in the estate declarations. And an estate declaration is when someone meets with us and defines how they want their legacy gift to be. The first one on here is a nursing program and scholarship bequest. It's going to pay student fees for nursing as well as scholarships. And today's present value is $5 million. We've already been made beneficiary on retirement accounts and other accounts that donor has. The donor is a retired nurse, very generous and incredible gift. And it's just wonderful to know that so we can steward this donor. The next one, culinary and music arts. So I think it's a pretty flexible scholarship, which is so important because they have to last. We don't know when it's going to come in. We have to make sure it lives in perpetuity. So we write them in a way that doesn't restrict them narrowly. Because if you do, the DOJ has to decide how the money gets used if a program goes away. So, and the next one, anonymous donor from Sisters. This one is pending a full declaration. They have no children. It's actually a single business professional. And so approximate value of this declaration is around $750,000. But mind you, many of these are revocable. But we need to have an idea of what the gift can do and how to define it. So we're still working on how, this is probably completely unrestricted gift, very generous. The next donor, another anonymous donor, and they're really an environmentalist and they're trying to decide which of many scholarships they'd like to get behind. And it could range from 150 to 500. Once they start putting choices down on what they'd like to do with their gift, we'll see the value more determined. So that's over $6 million right there on future gifts for tomorrow. And these are all calculated as best we can at present value. I'm wondering if anyone has a question. Okay, next, endowment gifts. And these are all done in the present fiscal year, last July to now, and we're at almost $723,000. The strange thing on this you'll see is 583 gifts, which is very unusual when you're talking about endowments because they're usually couples, single people. But staff gives every month to the endowed COCC scholarship. So that is where you're seeing the high number of donors and gifts. And those endowed gifts have been quite large. We've seen really generous ones. I'm trying to remember, Lori, because you've called and thanked so many of these donors. But there was a culinary one, and that one was probably in the range of 350 grand. And that would put out, several scholarships once it gets going. And so, and also we write them in such a way that they have an annual gift now, and then it's a forever scholarship later as it matures and grows. And so it's funding right now for culinary. We didn't have to wait 3 years.
Yeah, part of our policy is that if once an established endowment, or once you have an established fund, we wait 3 years for that fund to grow. So that when we take an assessment, which is the dollars that is produced for the scholarship, we're not eroding that original principle. And that's actually a federal statute called update. We won't get into that. But so if you have a $100,000 gift today, we wait 3 years before we start putting it to work. And donors say, well, I want that to work today. And we say, well, great. So we asked, Misty's been very good about doing this. We asked them to make an annual gift, $4,500 this year, in addition to that $100,000. Often, or we'll figure out a way to discount the original so that we can have that start working right away. And then the endowment will kick in upon the 3-year mark.
Exactly. So these are gifts, we, of course, always in the backdrop, we have our monthly givers that are so generous and stick with us year to year. We have many anticipated and unanticipated annual scholarship gifts. So we've got today gifts, tomorrow gifts, and forever gifts. Those endowments will be there, just ticking away and producing in a silent way henceforth. And so it's very robust and quite a nice lasagna of all these layers. You know, it's a meaty thing we've got going on. And so it's just been my pleasure to get to know the generous people in this community and always the curiosity about why, what inspired you to give. And there's no two stories alike. So it's really fun work. So I thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi,
We're gonna miss you, Misty.
Oh, thank you, Ellen. I'm gonna miss you guys so much. I'm returning to my family, so yeah, that's the one thing. My husband is the most happy of anyone. 5 years he's been in Portland now.
Oh, wow.
Well,
so
thank
much.
you for being with us that length of time and making that hardship that you had. So thank him for us.
Oh, I will, and it really wasn't a hardship. It was just a gift to be here and do some of my finest work ever. So it was really a lot of fun for me. Thank you very much.
Well, you really did do. I'm sure your finest work ever, and I've just been so impressed with you and the work that you do. You are one of the kindest people and most personable people I've ever met, and super smart. I mean, you're like the whole package.
Oh.
And I just, it's been fascinating to learn a little bit about gift planning from you and all that. And I'm really jealous that my colleague from Michigan is going to have you working for her now, but I know you'll be a great asset to them too, and I will miss you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Okay, next we'll move on to new business. New business consists of our president's evaluation. We had a team led by Bruce Abernathy, so I'll look to Bruce to explain the process and get us to our resolution.
Great, thank you, Alan. Yeah, basically, 3 of the board members, Alan, myself, and Laura Krasker Cooper, convened as the committee. In addition to sending out essentially an evaluation tool to each of the individual board members, we also divvied up and interviewed 14 sort of college stakeholders and community stakeholders. Got feedback from all of them, so I'm trying to almost get kind of a 360-degree review. As Laura said, it was really fun interviewing these people because they were almost universal in their praise of Lori and her ability to be decisive and make, good decisions in times of very difficult dealing with COVID and a lot of decisions where there were definitely going to be people that were unhappy no matter what decision was made. But I think people continue to really praise your ability to both make sure that all views were on the table. They were measured directly. You brought in people as needed. And you took responsibility for making decisions when that was needed. And on more than one occasion, people said, "I'm so glad that Lori was in charge when we went through COVID." So there was that. And then as far as the from our board perspective, we obviously don't have the day-to-day responsibility and interaction, but working with her, making sure that from our responsibility of the college's fiscal nature going forward, relations with the community, role of the outlying campuses, et cetera, I think we continue to give Lori very, very high marks. So in executive session, we basically wordsmith the resolution. I'll go ahead and read that here today, and that will be available publicly after that. It says, "Be it hereby resolved that after completing a thorough evaluation process, including feedback from key college and community stakeholders, the Board of Directors of Central Oregon Community College has determined that Dr. Lori Chesley's performance meets or exceeds expectations in all areas related to achieving the college's strategic plan, complying with the board's expectations relating to budgeting, asset protection and staff treatment, and facilitating communications with the board. Furthermore, the board of directors recognizes Dr. Chesley's continued efforts to respond appropriately to the many challenges and competing interests associated with the COVID-19 pandemic, the progress made around diversity, equity, and inclusion, and advances in workforce development to keep both the current and future needs of the college at the forefront. It is the board of directors' pleasure to extend to Dr. Lori Chesley high commendation for her performance as president of Central Oregon Community College. And the next step, this is essentially what is released publicly. The next step is that Alan, myself, and Laura will meet with Dr. Chesley privately, share perhaps a little bit more detail, but not all of the detail, and go over with her and develop perhaps some goals for the upcoming year. So, any questions?
We don't, this isn't the resolution we passed.
Thank you. I'm so sorry about that. Yes, this is the proposed resolution.
So we can move it and
Yes.
vote on it?
Yes, sorry about that. Yes.
So moved.
Yes, move.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we pass this resolution for president's evaluation for 2021, 2022. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, raise your hand and say nay. Any abstentions? With that is unanimous approval, and we thank you, Lori, for being our president, and we have full confidence that we're moving forward in the right direction.
Thank you very much. I'm still delighted to have been given this opportunity, and it's really an honor.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we'll go on to Board of Director Operations, and I'll look to Bruce.
Yeah, I would say main thing was basically continuing the compilation around Dr. Chesley's evaluation. And occasionally, Alan and I would have a phone conversation with her, sort of brought up to speed on college operations.
I don't have anything to report.
Okay, good, that's okay.
Been busy.
Joe?
I attended the 10th anniversary of the campus in Madras, and it's quite an event and well attended, very well attended. I was surprised, and so it's nice to see a lot of people get out, particularly with our Native Americans, with instruments, but their presentation of the dances as well as the Indian fried bread and the salmon baked. The staff, COCC at Madras, as well as support from the event campus. They did a great job.
It was a great party.
Yeah, and then today I went to the Jefferson County Commission meeting with my COCC hat and checked up on Lori and her staff and making sure that they gave a good presentation on the expansion project that we have planned up there with the extra 15 acres of land that's being presented and given by the Bean Foundation.
Oliver.
I have nothing to report.
Laura.
I participated in one of the VPI interviews on May 17th. Also on May 17th, I had a call with Brian Fratsky about the sale of the property on Aubrey Butte. On May 18th, I had a call with Dr. Chesley, which I think was the same subject. Then I did 3 calls. I attempted to do another one, but it was challenging playing phone tag for Dr. Chesley's review. On the 26th of May, I had a call with Brian Fratsky and Dr. Chesley also about the property on Aubrey Butte. And then on June 3rd, I had a call with, a conference with Ellie Osel of the Broadside about the college's real estate. And I should hasten to say that as our policy has traditionally been that the board chair speaks for the college, I did clear that with Alan before I had that call. And that's all for me.
Jim.
I participated in all 3 of the interviews with the Vice President for Academic Affairs candidates. We had 3 very credible candidates. So that was interesting to get their differing perspectives on how they might have approached that position. I also had a meeting with the reporter from the Broadside regarding development on the campus. And I think that's it.
Great. Well, I participated with the evaluation with Bruce and Laura, working through that and phone calls with Bruce and Maureen. I was also had an Oregon Community College Association Executive Board meeting. Also a DEI, Diversity, Equity and Inclusion OCCA meeting. I was in Madras for the party. It was great fun. And I was also there with Jim as we did the 3 academic affairs interviews. And it was a pleasure to listen to them. And I'm curious to see who will get the job. And with that, it's President's Report time.
So I'm just taking some notes. Yeah, let me do a teaser. I think you'll know soon who is the choice. And I'm doing my due diligence and working hard to get that decision made before the end of the week, because the faculty are then off contract, and we don't want to make them wait to know who their next vice president is. I wanted to remind everybody, and I know I owe some of you some details about commencement on Saturday, but we're looking forward to that. We have slightly over 700 graduates this spring. 215, not 700, 215 have signed up to go through the ceremony. It's not going to rain.
It is not going to rain at commencement.
It never rains on commencement. But I bet, I know we're ready. I know we're ready in case that would happen, correct?
We are.
Yeah, and graduates have windshield wipers, which they normally would.
Perfect.
There you go.
Perfect. That's what those funky hats are for too, that we all have here, so keeps the rain off. And Alicia just passed me a note, the commencement webpage is live. And it includes all of the students who are getting awards. And if we were having a more formal ceremony and the usual form, they would be announced at commencement. So I'm really excited about it. I've learned from last year to wear comfortable shoes and use sunscreen. But it's a super fun day. And if you just want to stop by and watch the fun, it really is. It's gratifying and it reminds us why we're all here. So really a pleasure. And now I'm glad Joe is keeping an eye on us as we go about our work in Madras, make sure we don't get crazy. And I'm probably the only one he really has to watch, because Zach Boone and Jeremy Green have been hitting it out of the ballpark with their work to make this Madras expansion happen. And they deserve so much credit for where we are. And they're going to work so much harder too coming up. So we're glad of that. And Zach, would you give a little bit of an update about where we are?
Yeah.
And then you were going to chat a little bit more about foundation scholarships.
I'll do both.
You can do it all.
I'll do both. I'll be brief. So this morning, Jeremy Green led a presentation to the Jefferson County Commissioners. They had asked for an update on the project, the Madras Institute Expansion Project. It wasn't a formal funding request, although conversation around the budget and funding opportunities did come up as a question from one of the commissioners. Basically, what we wanted to do was give them the overview of the project, have our partners, and we had 2 partners actually join us there in the room from the Early Learning Hub and also the Child Care Resource Center, and also Heidelberg PSB. Those are going to be 2 formal partners of ours. So just really wanted to give the commission an update sort of where we are on June 8th with the project. So they do have some ARPA funds available to potentially support the project, and so we had a little bit of a conversation around that and showed them what we have done so far. The land donation has been committed. The college has allocated $75,000 from the KAIS fund to move us forward. We have a small private foundation out of Portland that actually is very interested in supporting child care resources across the state. They've given us a seed grant as well. And I've already actually started some quiet conversations with some of our major donors about the expansion. So all that is to say, the commission is very supportive, recognizes the need for programs to be established at our Madras campus for students in Jefferson County and beyond, could see those certificates of degrees fulfilled in that community without having to do too much travel to Redmond or Bend, if at all. And again, focusing on early childhood education, nursing assisting, medical assisting, and related healthcare programs, and 100+ childcare slots in the facility, a big goal of ours, which will be run by a third party. But again, that's something that is really important to most communities in the country. And Jefferson County has a 300% wait list for their largest child care facility right now. Even pregnant moms and expecting moms are on that list. So it's a real need, and the commissioners recognize that need as something that they would like to see us deliver on as well. So on the whole, it was lovely. Again, there wasn't a formal ask. There's not a timeline to come back to those commissioners and plan to do similar presentations in the communities of Madras, or to the cities of Madras, Culver, Metolius, and even Crooked River Ranch as a suggestion of the commission today. So pretty exciting, and we'll bring this updates back to this group and to the real estate committee as appropriate. Questions? Then, as part of Lori's president's report, we're talking about some end of the year really highlights to share with you and all of the folks on YouTube in the virtual world tonight. And so 2 from our world at the foundation and advancement. As you remember, we've had an emergency fund at CSCC for many years. We really ramped it up in 2020 and did targeted fundraising for the emergency fund, which is something we hadn't done before. It was more passive. So the fund has grown, and Alicia's aware of this because her team in financial aid is super helpful in administering, both receiving applications for emergency funding and administering those funds. It's kind of a joint effort between the foundation and financial aid. And we're pleased to report that 105 students this year received funding from the COCC Student Emergency Fund, and that was over $87,000 in direct aid. The top 3 reasons for emergency assistance were childcare, housing, and utilities related costs. There were about 6 or 7 that are approved, but those were the top 3 this year. So again, just another way we can help our students succeed by helping with those requests. Those come in weekly. We have a committee that meets every week to review those, so they're timely. There is a limit on how much you can ask per term, so that students are coming back to the well each time, and so we can support more students that way. But it's really proven to be a huge spoke in the wheel of student success. And we'll continue to fundraise for it and award these dollars. In fact, we're increasing some funds from Foundation Endowments next year to grow that up even more. And the second part I wanted to share, we have recently moved our scholarship application process to 2 cycles. It used to all be done in 1 cycle. So this is the first year we're piloting doing it in 2 cycles. There are a variety of reasons that that's better for our students, most of which is that they're notified sooner in the summer so they can plan for the fall, and that students that arrive late can actually apply and not have to wait a full year for the cycle. So we just launched our first cycle and received 561 applications through our process, which is higher than last year. And again, as a result of great community fundraising, even without having meal of the year and our endowment returns, we have over 1.8 million again available for students this fall. We had 110 volunteers read and score applications. These are community members and staff and faculty. It's a really cool thing. Many of you in here or on our virtual audience have done so. So thank you. And the selection process is underway. So not all 561 will get a scholarship. Many will. And we hope to have that number released for this year. Thank you.
And I'll preview, and you all know this, at our July meeting, we'll have a chance to celebrate and thank Betsy. But she's kind of on a farewell tour right now, kind of doing events on campus and people saying thank you. And I'm just going to keep being in denial that you're really not going to go. So it's not too late. I haven't made any offers. And you keep looking at me like that, I know. Betsy has, and I'll say more next time, but she has really wrangled a really complex enterprise through COVID. And she was good at her job in a normal environment. Man, you just shine in particular in tough times. So again, offer still stands, and we'll We'll continue your farewell tour for a while,
For another month.
for another month. And that's the report.
Well, thank you. And we're gonna miss you, Betsy. So thank you for being here. Comments or questions from the board? Well, dates to look forward to in the future is COCC car commencement this Saturday. And where do we go?
I'm sending you all instructions tomorrow, where you can pick up gowns and meet and all of that. And it'll be in Wikia Hall. Correct? Pick up gowns in Wikia Hall? Sure. That's what we're gonna do. Wikia Hall lobby, like last year, Mhm.
So come in on the west entrance. Would be a good idea.
Off of Mount Washington, yes.
Yeah.
Off of Mount Washington.
Great. Okay, and on Tuesday, July 12th is the real estate committee meeting, and on the July 13th is the next board of directors meeting. And on August 19th will be the one in August that we usually skip, but we'll work on that in July.
Make that
Okay.
decision then.
With that, is there anything for the good of the order? So this is less than an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, it depends on what's in here. And everybody had it all together and was moving forward. So with that, I'll adjourn this meeting and thank you all for participating.
It's the first